looking over Sutra 1.8 and 1.9, the verbal delusion. I like to start at 9 and go back to 1.8. The verbal delusion that upon hearing words, a picture comes to mind is a delusion. That picture's not here. That picture is a program. It's a spell that's been cast in your mind. Words spelled out in your mind to represent a sense. You can sense with your sight, you can sense a picture. You might even feel it or hear it. Hear a picture upon hearing a word. See a picture upon hearing a word. Imagine if I say orchestra, you hear, and if I say, listening to your headphones, that's a spell for you to experience a symbol or set of symbols that are, generally communally agreed upon. It's like a cultural, it's language. But in some cases, you can have special symbols among people or groups of people. And 1.8, misconception, is a form that was mistaken. Misconception means you mistook a form for something else that it wasn't. And it's interesting that word form, rupa, form, as in like, it doesn't need to, we're not specifying, form almost doesn't specify sense. Because it could be touch, you can feel a form, you can hear the form of the music, you can, that's a feeling, you can feel the, but you can definitely see a form too. So form is more generic in that it includes all of our senses. Even, I don't know what sense this is that I'm speaking. There's an expression that could almost be mind. The fifth chakra is mind, the sixth sense. And so the form in your mind is something that engages all six of your senses. But a misconception is when you mistake that form. And a delusion is when a word produces a form. The form can be as simple as mistaking a rope in the dark for a snake, or mistaking an untrustworthy person for a trustworthy person. That misjudgment in character of a person intrigues me, because that is a very close representation to ourselves, that person. And so it's easily a gateway to understanding that we're projecting an anticipated interaction, you could say, with that matter over there, which is a human that's very close to myself, as opposed to projecting onto that rock. But that's what we're doing too. It's a further fetched idea, but imagine for a moment what else you could see. If you were to look at that thing, that field of space over there called a rock, and you look at it, but what could you see if you'd never been told what it was and you'd never seen it before? And in fact, no forms were in your mind. You had no mind. You had no symbols running around, floating around, being around in the mind for a context of to label everything. And if you didn't project, what could you see? What could you see if you look at that rock, or you look at that table, or you look at that book? But you had no forms to identify anything with. How could you see it? And you begin to realize that reality around you has been shaped by words, because you could definitely see that glass differently. You could see auras if you were able to deeply in your mind kind of operate off of the belief that anything is possible. Any kind of vision is possible. Visions you haven't even imagined yet are possible. And with that other person, bringing it back around now. You are projecting how you want them to be. Why is that? Do some self-exploration. Why is that? That's a good reason to meditate, a good question to ask. Why did I mistake that person for that kind of person? What is it about me? What does that say about me? And the other thing to know is that the removal or elimination of forms in the mind, while maintaining the power and the awareness that is at the core, looking at the mind then becomes just a clear prism for the awareness to penetrate through and express itself in the world. It is more in alignment. It's a more clear shot from the core to the world through the mind if the mind is empty of forms. So that's Yoga Sutras 1.8 and 1.9. Namaste.